Hello everyone, this is Yoko. On this channel, I'll be sharing information in English that I've gathered myself because events happening in China often don't get reported in other countries. I gather information from various media sources, so I'd appreciate your comments on the content of the videos. If you like what you see, please subscribe to the channel and show your support. Today, I want to talk about how the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, is getting increasingly nervous about the stock market downturn. Let me introduce an article. Dated January 22, the CCP instructed stronger measures to address the stock market, but even after this article was published, the Chinese stock market continued to stagnate. In the past, there was a pattern where whenever rumors circulated about the CCP implementing stock market measures, stock prices would rise. However, those who bought stocks ended up losing money shortly afterward. Now, believing in the implementation of stock market measures or in the future rise of Chinese stock prices would lead to losses. Gradually, it seems that the effectiveness of statements from CCP officials is diminishing. Following these statements, articles speculating on what the CCP is thinking have also emerged. But before delving into that, I'd like to introduce why the CCP is getting nervous about the stock market. First and foremost, it's a simple issue. When stock prices fall, the assets of those who hold stocks decrease. So, who are the people in China who can afford to invest in stocks? They are often individuals in advantageous positions within the CCP. In Japan, there's been talk about the introduction of the new NISA system. It's good news for those who can afford to buy stocks. However, it's not as significant for those without means. Therefore, people with a certain income level who have been saving money and can afford to buy stocks benefit. Since no taxes are imposed on the profits when stock prices rise, it's an extremely advantageous system. If the general populace has such flexibility, it becomes a system that benefits the entire Japanese population widely. However, not everyone in China engages in stock market investments. People who invest in stocks and real estate often have connections within the CCP. So, when stock prices fall, their assets decrease, which becomes a concern. They don't want stock prices to drop. This is a natural concern within the CCP. But that's not the only issue. I'm not sure to what extent such situations exist in Japan or the United States, but in China, a decrease in stock prices puts significant pressure on corporate management. In general discussions, it's said that when companies go public, they receive funds at that point, and subsequent fluctuations in stock prices don't affect the company. However, in China, many companies are family-owned. These families, who own these businesses, cannot publicly associate their names and are often referred to as fronts for CCP officials. Without these connections, large-scale business operations in China are not possible. Conversely, with CCP officials backing them, things become much easier. If two companies are competing and one has a powerful CCP figure behind it, that side gains overwhelming benefits. Thus, instead of fair competition, various giants gain advantages in terms of funds and finances. Eventually, only companies with CCP backing remain. This is the case for substantial businesses, excluding small-scale enterprises like street food vendors. Therefore, it's speculated that companies listed on the Chinese stock market have strong connections with someone within the CCP. Chinese listed companies often have founders and their families holding a significant amount of shares to absorb profits. If stock prices drop and they can't repay debts, they must either repay the debt or provide new collateral. If they can't do either, the shares held as collateral may be sold, creating new selling pressure and potentially further depressing stock prices. If this happens across China, many Chinese companies will suffer. Hence, a sharp decline in stock prices poses a significant problem for the Chinese economy. Moreover, while stock prices in the US and Japan are rising, if Chinese stock prices are not performing well, foreign investors may view this as a sign of China's economic problems, further cooling investment enthusiasm towards China. Therefore, continued declines in stock prices are not good for China and may lead to various negative impacts. Recognizing the severity of the situation, the central government has announced plans to implement measures to address the stock price issue. However, mere announcements are insufficient, and there has already been a waning response. Concrete actions are needed, and according to recent articles, the CCP plans to implement a 2 trillion yuan stock price intervention. They have begun discussing measures for the staggering scale of the stock market, totaling around 40 trillion yen. Now, you might wonder where this 40 trillion yen is coming from. According to the article, they are considering using funds held by Chinese companies in overseas accounts, specifically funds from state-owned enterprises held overseas, to address issues in the Chinese domestic stock market. Additionally, there are talks of funds being partially reserved for stock market measures, approximately equivalent to $300 billion, or about 6 trillion yen. Therefore, substantial funds are being prepared to address the stock market. However, despite this, it's puzzling that there isn't much of a response considering the scale of the proposed stock market measures. This raises the question of why there isn't a significant response. Essentially, even if the government tries to support the stock market when companies are performing poorly, most investors won't comply. If the government artificially tries to push up stock prices despite poor corporate performance, inflated stock prices would be overvalued compared to actual corporate performance. So, even if they have prepared 40 trillion yen for stock purchases, once that fund runs dry, everyone is ready to sell. Even if 40 trillion yen floods into the market and pushes up stock prices, once the funds dry up, people will rush to sell, potentially rendering the money used for stock market measures useless. It might only have a temporary effect. The problem lies in the already declining performance of Chinese companies and the uncertainty surrounding how these companies are being supported. For example, due to a lack of information, it's often unclear who is behind Chinese companies. There are many black boxes that are not visible on the surface. Regarding insider trading, investors won't trust the market unless the government takes it seriously. Overall, predicting the future of companies is difficult due to the lack of transparency and governance issues, despite the Communist Party's attempts to control the stock market. Therefore, even if the Communist Party injects 40 trillion yen to push up stock prices or strengthen short-selling regulations, these measures may have negative long-term effects. In essence, while there may be moments when a massive influx of funds from the Communist Party temporarily boosts Chinese stocks, the risks of manipulation remain. Investors need to be cautious and carefully monitor the situation, including corporate performance and the overall state of the Chinese economy. That concludes our discussion for today. Let's meet again next time.